Greetings, I'm Force Nature, this is Top Tier Tips, let's get started. In this session, we're going to take a look at how to deal with Nightmare. Nightmare is very dangerous in Soul Calibur 6. I mean, just look at his arm. Look at it!
Your nightmare has begun!
Nightmare is a very scary opponent to fight because he hits hard. Really hard. He can also wring you out very easily. Nightmare's strength comes from his ability to intimidate you. I mean, look at the size of Nightmare's sword. Look at it! It's got a freaking eyeball on it and it's just blinking right at you. I mean, how the hell did that not just scare the hell out of you? On a different note, not only does Nightmare have a giant sword, it also has giant range. So Nightmare's attacks can cover a lot of range and his movement is deceptively really good. Most more heavyweight type characters like a Siegfried or like an Astaroth, their movement quite frankly is kind of rubbish. But Nightmare's movement is really good. With this range and with this power, Nightmare wants to basically keep you away. He wants to keep you out. So if you're fighting at long range or mid to long range, you're basically in Nightmare's happy zone, so you basically do not want to be there. Nightmare also has a special powered up mode called Terror Charge, where he's basically just covered in a lot of red flames like so, and he gets access to one free Soul Charge move. So when Nightmare's on fire like this, just stay the hell away. And if that was not enough, Nightmare also has this. This is a Soul Wave, which gives him the aforementioned Terror Charge. Knowing all this, I've come to answer the simple question of, how the hell do you deal with this? Well, the first thing you do is run into Nightmare's face and make him feel very uncomfortable. You see? When you're in Nightmare's face, you're not in his happy zone. This is a place where Nightmare doesn't want to be. For instance, in his face, he's going to use stuff like punch, bigger punch, down kick, and he also has stuff like down forward kick, and he could maybe try something like AGA or ABA, even those moves are slower than the aforementioned punch. But the main things that you're generally going to be concerning yourself with in close are basically the forward attacks. Again, like forward punch, forward B or 6B, and 6A or 6AA. The reason why I bring up the moves such as 6K, 6B, or 6AA is because these moves they're like Soul Wave. They have the Armoured Revenge effect. So in close range, Nightmare might try and armor through something, like so. To stuff Nightmare's Soul Wave, you'll use moves such as lows or throws. Strong moves like 3B launchers are effective also. All of Nightmare's Revenge armor-based moves can be blocked stand-in and are usually unsafe on blocks such as 6B, 6K, well, not 6AA. This is actually an advantage on block, but you can crouch and punish that one. However, be careful if Nightmare does 6A hold, because then you won't be able to crouch and punish as easily. While we're at it, this is Nightmare's Knight side stance. In this stance, Nightmare cannot block, so he cannot use the G. So that means that if Nightmare goes into this stance while not at advantage, then you can essentially just down kick him for free. But of course, it's not always that easy, and sometimes you're just simply going to be out of range. In that case, you're unfortunately going to have to deal with the mix-up and just simply guess correctly. Take note that most transitions into Knight side stances, Nightmare is likely not going to be at advantage. And if you block any of the moves, then Nightmare is, of course, not going to be. None of this stuff is an advantage or anything like that. A move that Nightmare will commonly try and do out of Knight side stance is essentially try and transition to another stance, such as Grim Stride, so quarter circle forward, or Knight low stance. Within Knight side stance, this is Nightmare's most dangerous move. This is the K option. It gives you a free 2A plus B for Terror Charge. So, this move is fast. It's 9 frames. Though it is linear, unsafe when blocked. Well, not unsafe to a launcher. And of course you could sidestep it. But the main thing is that this move just comes out fast. So even when Nightmare's at disadvantage, he can still smack you with that move. So be really careful of thinking to want to retaliate with like BBs or like AAs, or I mean, definitely don't use Nightmares. That's like 20 billion frames. So again, when Nightmare's in this stance, this move is used to keep you in check. He can't block, but he can smack you with that. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to just deal with the mix-up. Just let you know that most stuff out of here is fairly like negative. But yeah, the main thing is to do is just look out for any sort of like stance transitions. You know, while I'm on the topic of stance transitions, let's talk about Grimstride. Alright, so if Nightmare ends up entering into his 2-3-6 stance, or quarter circle forward stance, anytime he goes into that, like basically when not at advantage, so at negative or hell, even during neutral, then automatically just down kick him. This will just basically beat out anything. So if Nightmare hasn't actually like hit you with anything, then just 2k right away. But yeah, if you get hit, you're just gonna have to deal with the mix-up. As for the mix-up from Grimstride, Nightmare wants to do this to you. This is a flapjack. It can ring you out. From both sides. To deal with the forward flapjack, you end up pressing A in any direction other than back. To deal with the overtoss flapjack, you would press back and A. You can also deal with the flapjack by just doing a crouch block. You can also jump if you so desire. But yeah, when Nightmare ends up going into Grimstride or crouching menacingly like this, then prioritize standing guard. And also, if you have your back to the ring edge, then break A throw. If Nightmare has his back to the ring edge, then break back A plus G throw. As for the options out of Grimstride, 236B is arguably the most dangerous option. This move is only -10 when blocked, but it creates a tremendous amount of space. So Nightmare can use this move just simply to harass your guard gauge. If you end up getting hit by the move, then it ends up launching you for quite a bit of damage. But as you can see, if you hold forward, you can do another Grimstride, and then you can basically just like keep doing it. But of course, if you block the first hit and he goes into Grimstride, you can get a free down kick, a free 2k. 236k is probably the most unsafe move if it gets blocked. However, if you end up getting hit by this move, then it gives Nightmare a free down A plus B, 2A plus B, and it puts him into this Terror Charge. Oh yeah, with regards to Terror Charge, 236k becomes 236kk, which is a guard break. Which also gives you a hit throw like so, which ends up giving him even more Terror Charge. But just to let you know that the second hit would be a high attack. The last option that I'm going to show you out of Grimstride is Grimstride A, which is a deceptively dangerous move in itself. Right here, it is a tracking horizontal, so it's horizontal high. As you can see right here, if it gets blocked, it's unsafe to, like, you get punished by a BB. No problem. But the thing about this move is, it is Nightmare's GI out of here. So when Nightmare goes into Grimstride, if you try and retaliate with a BB or AA, he will use this move to stuff your retaliation. So basically, if you think you're easy to do that move, just simply block. Okay, now with regards to Nightmare's other stances. Alright, we've just taken a look at Night Side Stance and Grimstride. I'll just let you know right now that the option select for when Nightmare goes into a stance is simply standing guard and look out for any lows or any throws. But with regards to Night Side Stance, there are no lows and there are no throws. So simply Nightmare might try and harass you with... Well, this move right here is Night Side Stance A, which goes under highs and is a track and horizontal mid, which can go into Night Side Stance and is, well, safe when blocked. However, Nightmare can't block in a stance, so this is still negative. Then he might try and bait you with either the K option or go into Grimstride and try and go for the low throw. So in this case, if he goes into Grimstride, again, block and just simply try and break either A throw or back A plus G or back A throw. But now with regards to the other two stances. The other two stances would be Night Low Stance. In this stance, the only throw would end up being a hit throw. So off of this move here. This move is basically the go-to move out of Night Low Stance. It's a good low mid. I think it's safe, pretty much safe when blocked, so it's a good poke. If this move ends up hitting you in close range, it gives you a hit throw, does a lot of damage. If you do it at range, then it just simply knocks you down. But this move is still the dangerous move to look out for. So to deal with that, you stand in block. In that case, Nightmare's going to try and go for the low. If he holds down A, he transitions to a Night Side Stance. So for here, still, prioritize this and try and note when Nightmare is likely to go for the low option to try and poke you out. So he's going to try and do this, and in that case, you're going to have to try and make a read. If you think he goes low, hit him with a jump and attack. Otherwise, stand and block. The only throw here is a hit throw, so again, you can stand block what you can. And the last stance that we're going to take a look at is Knight Behind Stance, which looks like Siegfried's Chief Holt. Alright, in this stance, same idea. Just prioritize stand and block. Nightmare cannot block in his stance, so if he thinks you're going to push buttons, he might try and stuff you with the K option right here. Generally speaking, you want to do stand block because you don't want to get hit by the dangerous mid, the B option right here. So yeah, just simply do standing guard. Also, out of this stance, if Nightmare thinks you're going to stand there and guard, he doesn't have a throw out of the stance. So what he's going to do is use his low. He has an A low right here. If he ends up holding down the A, he'll transition into Knight side stance, and then you have to deal with the same kind of options out of here. Like if he thinks you push a button, he just smacks you with the K. But generally, out of this stance, he's going to try and open you up with the low. But you still have to respect the mid, though. So again, same thing as Knight low stance. Try and guess when he's going to go for a low, and then try and maybe smack him with the jump in B when you make a read on it. Oh, and if you see Nightmare go into Knight Behind Stance, then just simply smack him with AA. As for during the general neutral game, Nightmare's going to be wanting to be hanging back majority of the time. So from long range, he's going to try and poke at you with 668. This is a long range horizontal attack. You hold down forward, you go into Grimstride. You have to deal with the Grimstride mix-up. Other moves he might try is 4A. This one's also similar to 668, are both slow moves, but this one, of course, is advantage on block. This will be his pressure move when he has advantage, so he basically wants you to either get hit or block this move. It is a horizontal high, so you can duck under it, unlike his A plus B, which is a vertical mid, which goes into, well, Knight Behind Stance. So those are his two primary break attacks. Other moves that he might try and do, like those are the main ones from long range. From long range, he might also try and bait you with, like, let's say for instance, Knight low stance. He wants to poke you with this move. This move is really good. Naturally, of course, it's a vertical move, so you can sidestep it. So, but all right, we'll continue on from around mid range. He might try and hit you with AGA or ABA. Both of these are 16 frames, so they're basically unreactable. They're fast highs, which, well, AGA knocks him to his right, ABA knocks him to the left. Other than that, they're pretty much almost identical. They do have a just frame version that is pretty difficult to do, but either way, it's only around like neutral or neutral or like -1 on blocks. So yeah, it's completely safe. So unfortunately, it's hard to react to. If you think he's gonna do it, then you have to maybe try and crouch under it. But from mid range, you kind of basically just have to respect that he's gonna do it. But in that case, what you want to do is try and avoid just being in mid range. And anytime you have an opportunity to get in close, do it. Nightmare kind of hates having to deal with quick pokes or anything like that, because if you're doing a lot of quick pokes, you're forcing him to have to use soul wave moves to try and get you off him. And in that case, you can kind of, if you know he's going to go for a soul wave type moves, throws blow it up nicely, lows can blow it up nicely. Nightmare does not have a 12 frame move, so his fastest move he can even use to punish something with is his 13 frame K, or his punch in the face. Alright, I will let you know that his forward punch is a good 16 frame move, but in terms, again, of close range combat, this is not a good place for Nightmare. But if you're in Nightmare's, again, I mentioned earlier, his happy zone, then you're going to have to look out for something like AGA. So basically, make Nightmare feel uncomfortable, and you're basically going to win the matchup. If you had any difficulty with any of the terminology in this video, then check out this video here to help shed some light on the nature of fighting game notation. If you would rather reap terror into your opponents as opposed to beating the crap out of Nightmare, then check out this video here, which is admittedly quite long, but it will give you a highly detailed look at how to reap your opponent's souls.
Your nightmare has begun!
I would like to thank Smart Esports and Trollcoin for endorsing this video, and as always, if you like this video, smash that like button. If you didn't like this video, just hit the like button anyway, and don't forget to subscribe for more juicy fighting game content. I'd also like to take this moment to thank my premium top tier fighters for their continued support, which I do appreciate. If you'd like to become a premium top tier fighter yourself, click on the Patreon link down below. Anyways, this is Force Ninja signing off. Thanks for tuning in, and I will see you next time on Top Tier Tips.